And joining me this week, PIX and Politico reporter Henry Rosoff and reporter for Politico, Jeff Coltin. So great to have both of you here on what is a very, very busy week.
Yes.
Let's begin, gentlemen, with the sanctions, right? Essentially limiting the power of the mayor. And before we get into the implications, I guess, on what it means, I want to ask about the reaction that you're hearing from both sides. I just touched upon it with the Queensborough president, right? On people who are saying this was the right move, it wasn't the wrong move. What are you hearing?
Well, since we just had one perspective, the Queensborough president, who is a Democrat, I'll give you some sort of Republican and moderate, sort of perspective. It's like, oh, now the governor's doing something because the mayor actually wants to aid in the immigration problem. So that's sort of your cynical, independent Republican view that you're hearing out there. I'm also hearing a lot of people not entirely convinced this is effectively a non-move or a passing the buck because it will take so long. I know that the borough president just spoke to that. He believes it can move somewhat quickly through the council. But the state legislature, which would need to stamp this, is a whole other animal, and it's budget season, Jeff.
Yeah, I think especially among the folks that wanted to see Adams gone, they're definitely disappointed. They're saying, oh, the governor is not acting. You know, if they wanted the mayor to resign or to be removed, this is a disappointment. That said, it does feel like there was a bit of an exhale across the political world yesterday. When she said, I'm not going to remove the mayor at this time, everyone was like, okay, that's happening. We saw that, in particular from Comptroller Brad Lander. He's running against the mayor. He said the mayor should resign, but his response to the governor was kind of like, okay, let it happen. And I found that notable. This wasn't just a passing of the buck.
Yeah.
This was it was a decision, and the decision is that she does not want to remove the elected mayor, especially in an election year.
Yeah. I do also think lost in the announcement a little bit was a strong statement about he's got to replace these deputy mayors. He's got to keep his commissioners.
Yes.
We haven't seen a path forward on that, and that's an important step here that really speaks to the running of the city, which I think is what all of us care about at the end of the day.
Yeah, there's some rumblings of whether or not Kaz Daughtry, who will become the deputy mayor of public safety, but other than that name, really, there's just not a whole lot out there of what that path forward is. But she did get a lot of questions, Jeff, yesterday about the Cuomo factor and if this was something that she was doing because of him. And you just heard the borough president say, well, it really would be, if he were to win, it'd be January. How did she address it? Because she was kind of forceful about it.
Yeah. She doesn't like to necessarily acknowledge the influence, the power that Cuomo has over at least all of our attention and all of our minds.
And all of our polling.
And certainly the polling. I mean, he's dominating the conversation right now without even officially being in the race. That said, I mean, these guardrails are not substantial. I mean, if a powerful figure like Cuomo came into the mayor's race and won, this wouldn't stop him really from anything. I mean, this was more of letting the mayor know he's being watched, he's on watch. I don't think Cuomo would even necessarily, he's probably shrugging at this. It wouldn't matter to him.
I also find it hard to believe this would pass through Albany without the sunsetting clause you were just speaking with the borough president, because New York lawmakers that go up as senators and assembly people, they're fighting for more city power, not less city power. This is an extraordinary circumstance, but I just don't see it getting through Albany without that sunset clause.
Well, and also just a lot of people are saying we don't know how to vote on it because we haven't read it.
Yeah, there's no bill. Absolutely.
There's no bill here. The question here, I guess, also is how does this affect the governor? She's going to be in an election year. That weighed on her heavily in her decision for this week, right, on whether or not to remove the governor, assuming that she seeks another term. But how could this help or hurt her?
She had a good line in the press conference of I'm not being pressured. I feel pressure every single day, and it doesn't affect me. I mean, of course there was pressure. I mean, this is an incredibly high pressure situation. And she was being told by a lot of people, do not remove the mayor. That would be, bad, particularly among there was a contingent of moderate black Democrats that were saying, we will not forget this if you remove the city's second black mayor. And, there's a lot of pushback to that. Other people saying, whatever, yes, remove him. But I think that did weigh on her. This idea of going outside of the electoral system. So I think that weighed on her.
Yeah. Last thought here, Henry.
Well, I would just say her baseline argument next year when she runs for re-election is she's going to want to be a check against President Trump. Well, there may be some concern here that she didn't just remove a mayor who is at least perceived, although he denies it, to being used by President Trump. So there was no win-win here. Whatever she did was going to get used against her, to be fair. But I feel like now that this is the decision, that's how it'll be used against her.
All right, Henry and Jeff, great to have both of you here. By the way, congratulations, you're just newly married.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations, and I'm glad this is one of your first stops after your nuptials.
Exactly.
All right.